Well, Tate, it might just be me and you. No, I lied. There's Don Queries. Ooh, and I got a pre-email. All right, Don Queries. We'll get to that. Don Queries, there had to be. Wait, hang on. Was there any more information than that which you emailed me? I know I'm giving people time to get logged in, but we can go ahead and talk about your little problem here. Okay, so Don Queries, this is the question you had. Da, 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 da. Okay, you are driving along the open highway in a cross-country road trip, cruising at a speed of 60 miles per hour. So essentially, the rest of this is kind of meh. Like you don't really need it. What is the slope of a line representing this relationship? Okay, so basically, what this question is asking you to understand is that the rate of change, slope, speed, they're all the same thing. So understanding that, I'm pretty sure the answer is just going to be 60. Speed 60 miles an hour. Because if we made a graph out of it, and we went ahead and marked off, I don't know, let's see, 60 miles per hour, like 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. So this would be the x-axis, but this would be time. So there's that. The y-axis, we how many miles? So after 1 hour, he goes 60. After 2 hours, I say he or she, whatever, 120, then 180. So if we were graphing distance, I'm getting better at writing. Yeah. So the y-axis, okay. So the y-axis is our distance, and what we end up having is this. Actually, I can draw the dots. Yeah. So after an hour, you'd have gone 60 miles. After 2 hours, you've gone 120 miles. After 3 hours, you go 180 miles, and so on. Yeah. So I'm almost positive the answer is just 60. Yeah, rate of change, slow speed, they are all the same thing. Speed is just a very specific one. Yeah, speed just happens to be the change in, let me rephrase. Speed is the name we give change in y over change in x when we're talking specifically about, hang on. I don't know if you guys can hear that siren, but when I run that timer and it runs out, it makes this really annoying sound. Anyway, back to what I was saying. So when we say the word speed, we are specifically talking about a change in y over change in x, where the change in y is distance. And the change in x is time. That's why every road sign you've ever seen is miles per hour. And I would have to imagine if you ever go to Europe and they're on the metric system, they'll be like kilometers per hour. But yeah, so I'm pretty sure the answer to that is just 60. And I guess as a teacher, I understand that question is trying to poke and prod at the students that don't understand that rate of change and slope and speed, they're all the same thing. You can hear that annoying what? Yikes. Well, okay then, let's get started. Thank you for the question. I appreciate it. I'm sure everyone that gets to see that is going to be better off for it. I'm going to go ahead and check my email and see if anybody else had a specific request. No, I don't need to save that. And if not, we will get started. Oh, sweet. Got another one. Okay. I'm going to try to make this bigger. Let me see if I can. Hang on. I got an idea. No, I don't want to save that. It might be a little fuzzy, but at least we'll be able to see it. There. Okay. So this is another email request. Keep those coming. That would be much more meaningful instead of me just finding random problems. Okay, so complete the missing value in the solution. Aha. Okay, so this is actually something we were going to get to later anyway. I'm glad it brought up. So everybody look. Now, if you've got paper and pencil, that'd be great. If not, follow along as closely as you can. So what's the information that we are given? We're told to find the missing value. And for the astute among us, you might realize the thing that's missing is the x value, because they gave us the y value, and that's paramount. That is absolutely vital. So what we are going to do, we're going to take this equation up here, and we are going to plug in the y value that they gave us. So it was 2x plus y. Okay, so it was 2x plus 3y equals 12. What we're going to do is we're going to say 2x plus 3 times 8 equals 12. So there's our substitution. That's the information they gave us, and we had to know how to use it. So we went ahead and put in the 8 for the y. Let's see how that changes things. So this would remain 2x on our scrap paper. 3 times 8 is 24. And that's all equal to 12. So now this is where our brain has to kick in and do some inverse operations. Now no one's going to tell us to do this. We just have to know from our own intuition that this is how we're going to solve this problem. So we want to get x by itself because eventually the goal is to have x equals blank. We want to have x equals number. So to do that, we got to get rid of this 24. So we're going to add its opposite, which is a negative 24. Now, because this is an equation and we got to keep things balanced, we're going to do the same thing on both sides. Now, the abstract rule that we are abusing right now is that anything, hang on, let me put this on the other side so it doesn't get covered up by people's pictures. Undo, undo, undo. Okay, so here's the abstract rule we are abusing, that anything plus its opposite, like its negative version, is equal to 0. That's the little rule that we're going to be abusing right now. So let's go back to our sentence. So this 2x remains. The 24 and the negative 24 cancel each other out because they make 0. 12 minus 24 is going to be equal to negative 12. So there's our abused rule. So that made 0, which is what we wanted. That was intentional. That was not an accident. Okay. So now we have to do a different inverse operations. The other abstract rule we're going to be abusing is that anything divided by itself is equal to 1. Because right here, if we want to get rid of this 2, which is the coefficient, is that number being multiplied by the x, the opposite of that is to divide by 2. Let me change that color. Our mental math is orange today. So we're going to be dividing by 2. And we have to do that on both sides of the equation. Now, so here's what ends up happening. 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 1 times x is just x, which is where we were trying to get to in the first place. So you end up with x equals, now 12, negative 12 divided by 2 would be negative 6. So that's our missing value. So we just found out is that when y is equal to 8 in this system, the x value is going to be negative 6. Okay. Let me check my email again, see if anybody else has. Nope, no, 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 no. Okay. Well, I'm going to put a problem on the screen here for you guys to start thinking about while I turn off my fan because for some reason I am freezing today. Okay, so let's clear this. Nope, don't need you. Okay. Hey, welcome, Jayon. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Awesome. To the person that just emailed me a question, it came out all gobbledygook. Like you must have copied and pasted, and it came out like I can't even. I'm trying to look at it. Like here's what it looks like on my end. That's what it looks like on my end. So to the person that just emailed me that question, just see if you can copy and paste it another way. And if not, maybe you just have to type it to me in chat, and then I'll sort it out from there. All right, everybody, let's try this one. Okay, so like I said, I'm gonna go turn off my fan and stuff because I'm actually really chilly. So I'll give you a minute to think about this before we dive in. Jason has applied for 2 summer jobs, one as a lifeguard and the other as a camp counselor. The lifeguard job is 3 days a week and pays the following as shown in the table below. The pay rate is the same on each of the 3 days. The camp counselor job pays $8.75 per hour. Okay, so this is throwing a lot of information at us. So I want to make sure that I'm cubing. Hang on, I need to pull up my... Every time I say I need to cube something, I want to have that picture on screen. 1 second. I got a picture of my math practice standards. Where'd the picture of my cube go? Yep, there's my math practice standards. I got them. Okay, I'm not sure where my cube picture went, so I guess I'll press on without it for just a moment. Okay, so let's start. By just making sense of the problem. Okay, so what's important stuff we need to know? Let's see. Honestly, in this top paragraph, this part, the pay rate is the same on each of the 3 days. That's kind of important, but a lot of this is just kind of fluff. Like, what information in this do we not really need to know? Jason applied for 2 jobs. Good for him. One is a lifeguard, and the other is in the camp counselor. I guess that's not bad. I mean, what we're trying to do here is compare 2 different rates. The lifeguard job is 3 days a week. The pay and pays is the following. I guess that's okay information. So some important numbers though that we're going to be circling. I'm going to use boxes though. So the camp counselor job makes $8.75 an hour. That's important. And then we are given this table to try and understand. Let me change the color. The lifeguard will be, we'll say purple. Okay. So this, what you're supposed to understand is that this chart down here is the lifeguard. And the question is which job, oh yeah, the entire question, which we should always look for early in the question, which job pays the higher rate? So I'm going to give you guys a minute while I turn the air conditioning down or up or warmer, whichever euphemism you want to say. I just need to turn the air up. So here, you guys try this. See if you can come up with your own decision as to which one pays more. I'm going to stress a couple things. So what you need to do, we're going to model our mathematics, and we're going to attend to precision. We're going to be very careful about making sure we're very precise. Yeah, so we'll be back with that in just 1 second. Yeah, you better have to unmute myself when I'm going to talk. Okay, I got my hoodie, got my jacket. Much warmer now. Okay. So, what are you guys thinking, chat? Which one pays more, being the lifeguard or working as a camp counselor? Sound off in chat if you think you know. Says the camp counselor pays $8.75 an hour, and then we've got these numbers and these days and hours worked for the lifeguard, and we're supposed to figure out who's getting paid the most. So, I've got both answers in chat. Some say lifeguard, some say camp counselor. Okay, well, that means, let me grab my highlighter again for just a second. So that means what we're going to be doing now is going to be constructing a viable argument. Right here, math practice standard number 3. So let's do that. My 5-year-old is taking a peek to see what's going on. Okay, so the way I'm going to solve this riddle, I'm going to move my math practice standards up this way a bit. Can I make that smaller? No, maybe I just need to put it away for a minute. Okay, so this rate, this dollars per hour, is something we can solve with these numbers. So we're looking at how much money we're making per hour. And they give us that information here in this table. So what I want to do is take this information and turn it into one number, just like the camp counselor is. So if I'm making $54 in 6 hours, or if I'm making $36 in 4 hours, or if I'm making $72 in 8 hours, those are all rates. They're slopes, they're speeds. So we can just do some quick number crunching and figure out how much you made per hour. So it's almost like simplifying fractions. So if we divide the top and bottom by 6, what do we get? Well, 6 divided by 6 is 1. 54 divided by 6 is 9. So apparently, he's making $9 an hour as a lifeguard if he works 6 hours. I wonder if it's the same for this. We'll divide by the denominators, so it always comes out to be 1. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 36 divided by 4 is 9 again. So he's making $9 an hour. I think it'll end up being the same here because he gets paid the same. It said he would get paid the same each day. So if we divide by 8 on both top and bottom. So apparently in this problem, no matter how long he works, he's getting paid $9 an hour. And that's when he's the lifeguard. So the question remains, which problem has the higher hourly rate? They pay the same, the lifeguard job or the camp counselor job. Now the camp counselor paid $8.75 an hour, and after doing our number crunching, we saw that the lifeguard job paid $9 an hour. So it's gonna be the lifeguard. Sweet. Let me check my email. So far, I've had 2 really good questions sent in today. Yeah, but the question is, were you right and could you prove it? Guessing that you were right is not a sustainable practice. You got to be able to prove it with your mathematics. Let's try one of these. Okay, so paper and pencil time. Welcome, welcome, those of you just catching up with us. Which order pair is a solution to the equation? I'm going to give you guys about a minute and a half head start after I explain a couple things. Okay. So when it says a solution, we are asking for something to make it true. And here's what it means by true. At the end of all of your work, true would be something like 9 equals 9. That's true. Okay, so what you got to do is take this equation and then take these coordinates 10, 1 and negative 4, 3, and you're going to substitute in the numbers. And what I mean by that is they're just straight up giving you an x value and a y value, an x value and a y value. And what you're going to do is you're going to plug those in for this x and this y, and then do some arithmetic and just figure out if they come out to be true. Okay? So, while I check and see what's going on with my remind, people are, yeah. So I'm going to be looking super awesome, checking my phone for this remind code while you guys get a minute head start on that. So go. Okay, so let's see if either one is true, or maybe both are true, maybe only one of them is true. Okay, so this guy. First thing I'm going to do is write down my equation, which is x plus 7y equals 17. However, when I go to work it out, I have to replace it with this x and y. So in this case, it'd be 10 plus 7 times 1 equals 17. Okay, well, that'd be 10 plus 7 times 1 is 7 equals 17. So chat, true or false? Is 10 plus 7 equal to 17? True or false? Well, I think it's true. So I like A as an answer because when I plug in this x and this y, the equation comes out to be a true statement. Okay? So we get rid of all this. We'll try the next one. So again, the equation is going to be the same. It's going to be x plus 7y equals 17. However, this time, we're going to use -4 and 3. So that means that x is -4. And then y is 3. So it'll be 7 times 3. So -4, we're going to leave that alone for a minute. 7 times 3 is 21. So true or false? -4 plus 21. Is that equal to 17? True or false? That is the question. What do you guys think? Sound off in chat. Well, I think it is. So in this case, I like A and B. So I pick both. So on your own paper, try this one. I'll give you a quick reminder, but everyone try to come up with an answer before I do it. If you can't, that's fine. Get as far as you can until you need to stop. But here's the equation they give you. And they give us this ordered pair and this ordered pair, which means that they are flat out giving you x values and y values for both. So you're going to plug those numbers in. You're going to substitute them in here and here. Do some arithmetic and figure out whether one of them works or both of them work or neither of them works. Which ones make it true? Okay, so I'll give you a minute of a head start. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to start by, on my own paper, writing out the equation, which is y plus 5 equals 2 parentheses x plus 1 end parentheses. Yeah, y plus 5 equals 2 parentheses x plus 1. Okay. Then I'm going to have to rewrite that using the x and y that were given to me. So that means that would be 10 plus 5 equals 2 parentheses. The x value is 5, so that'll be 5 plus 1. So all I did was I took these x and y and I plugged them in. So then I can do some adding here. So this would be 15 equals, okay, okay, well, there's a few different ways we can do this. But inside the parentheses, 5 plus 1, that's equal to 6. And 2 times 6 is equal to 12. Whoa. 5 plus 1 is 6. 2 times 6 is 12. True or false? That 15 equals 12. I don't think so. So unfortunately for A, that does not make any sense. 15 does not equal 12. We call that false. So nope, 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 nope. Not you. So let's try the other one. We're going to start off the same way. We're going to rewrite the equation. Y plus 5 equals 2 parentheses x plus 1. And now let's do a different color. All right. So we're going to try these xy's. So y, which is negative 5, so it'll be negative 5 plus 5 equals 2 parentheses. The x value is negative 1 plus 1. Okay, now we have a little bit of work to do. So negative 5 plus 5, well, they're opposites. So this side's all equal to 0. Negative 1 plus 1, they're opposites. That makes 0. And 0 times 2 is 0. True or false? Is 0 equal to 0? It sure is. So if A is false and B is true, then we would only choose this one. Okay. Now we got a couple that have come in via email. I love taking requests, way more than just making it my own problems. Okay, so this one's really similar to the ones we were just doing, so that's cool. Okay, so this one is pretty much identical to what we were just doing. So let's just go ahead and write out x plus 7y equals 17. And they gave us x values and y values. So for this first one, the x value would be 10, and the y value being multiplied by the 7 would be 1. 7 times 1 is 7, so 10 plus 7 equals 17. And that looks pretty true to me. That seems to make sense. So I like A. Let's try this again with the these numbers. So if x is negative 4 and y is 3, true or false, does that come out to be 17? So that'd be negative 4 plus 21. I think we did this one earlier. Negative 4 plus 21, yep. That one also comes out to be true because negative 4 plus 21 is 17. Adding a negative 4 to a 21 is the same as 21 minus 4. So I think the answer in this case has to be both. So that's a good question. Thanks for sending that in. Had another one. Okay, this one is much more text-based. So clear all this. Okay. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if you guys can read this, so chat, let me know if it's just too small to read. Graph the line that represents the proportional relationship between x and y, where the unit rate of change of y with respect to x is 10 to 7. In other words, change of 1 unit in x corresponds to the change of 10 to 7 units in y. Yeah, I can understand why that sounds confusing. Okay, so math practice thing is get back in here. Okay. So let's start by just trying to make sense of the problem and then having some perseverance. Okay. It says graph the line. So I guess on this con lesson, you're going to have a line you actually have to graph that represents a proportional relationship between x and y where the unit rate of change of y with respect to x is 10 to 7. Okay. So the key things here we know that we have to graph a line, and they're telling us and they just told us that the rate of change is 10 over 7. So those are the two things they really told us. Okay. So I'm not really sure what scale the graph gives you, so I'm just going to go ahead and do this. So here's my x and my y axes. The goal here is just for you to realize that when they give you this fraction, the top number, when they say 10 over 7, the top number is the change in y, and the bottom number is the change in x. So that means on our graph over here, if we were to go over 7 on the x-axis, we should be going up 10 on the y-axis. And if we were to go over 14 on the x-axis, we should be going up 20 on the y-axis. And that is the pattern, that is the rate, that is the slope, that is everything. If you were to go 21 over on the x-axis, you'd be going up 30 on the y-axis. So what you end up with when you graph this, I made mine very crude and very quickly, but it still looks about right. So you'll have something like that on your graph. So it's going up 10 and over 7. So I'm not sure if there's any other context given or whatever, but basically if I were to give this some sort of context, like you're making, I don't know, for every 7 minutes you make 10 phone calls at some call center or something like that. That means you're at a rate of 10 calls for every 7 minutes. So if you worked for 30 minutes, you would have made, no, if you worked for 21 minutes, you would have made 30 phone calls, something like that, just to give it some context. Okay, got another one. I love it. Keep those questions coming. No, I don't want to save this picture. I think I'm just gonna use my black screen here as a chalkboard. I'll try it that way. So text. Okay, so here are the directions that this problem gives. -4. Ooh, typing in white is gonna be a problem though. It sounded like a good idea at the time. -4, -4x minus y equals 24. And they want us to check blank, comma, 8. Okay. Complete the missing value in the solution of the equation. Okay. So they gave us, sure, purple's fine. So we have an x and a y value, but the x value is a missing. However, in our equation, we do have the ability to plug in the y value that we're missing. And with a little bit of arithmetic, I think we can crunch out an answer. So let me keep track of what we've done so far. Okay, so I've made sense of the problem because I know that I need to solve for x. I'm about to construct a viable argument as to why I think my answer is right. I'm going to model by showing you all my math. I'm going to say the structure I'm going to be using, this equation with my substitution, I'm going to attend to precision. I'm going to make sure I'm very careful with my numbers. So let's get started. Okay. So the first thing I want to do is rewrite my equation. So that'd be -4x minus y equals 24. But now, because I know what my y value is, I'm going to plug that in. So that'd be -4x minus, this is where I can just put in the 8. I nested it in parentheses just to be a little bit more proper. Not absolutely necessary, but I wanted you to see that. So if you ever have a positive or negative, the first time you substitute something in, you can put it in parentheses just in case that might affect it. Okay. So -4x, nothing going on with that yet. -8 equals 24. Yeah, since this is really like a -1 times 8, it's just -8. Okay, so now I need to do a little bit of inverse operation work. This is not something you were told to do. Your intuition has to remind you, oh yeah, this is something I've got to do. So I'm going to add the opposite of -8, which is a +8. I have to do that to both sides because of this equal sign, because it's an equation. So the abstract rule that we're abusing here is that anything being combined or added to its opposite, its negative value, is equal to 0. That's called reasoning abstractly. Okay, so -4x has not been changed. -8 plus 8 makes 0. 24 plus 8 is 32. So that's where we're at so far. So I've got -4x equals 32. Now, the next abstract rule we're going to abuse is that any number divided by itself is equal to 1. So in our math right here, what I'm going to do, and no one's going to tell me to do this, I have to know it just intuitively, I'm going to divide by -4 on both sides. I have to do it on both sides because of the equation, but the reason I did it in the first place is to make this equal to 1x. -4 divided by -4 is just 1. So what I end up on this side is just x. That's what I wanted from the beginning. X equals, now 32 divided by a -4 would be -8. So what we just discovered, thank you for sending in this question, what we just discovered is that when y is equal to 8, x is equal to -8. So if we were graphing this, then we would have a coordinate, we would have a dot at that spot. Next question. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. This might look a little pixelated, but it'll make it easier for us all to read. A proportion, yeah. I don't want to lose my math practice standards. A proportional relationship is shown in the table below. Okay, we got these x values and these y values. What is the slope of the line that represents this relationship? Okie dokie. The first thing I want to make sure I understand is what it's asking. What is the slope of the line? That's what they want to know. Okay. So what I'm just now doing is I'm making sense of my problem. Okay. The structure here is that they've given this XY table. Now, I think we get really lucky they give us 0, 0, and I'll tell you why. Because we are starting at 0, 0, this is going to make our calculations much more simple. You may remember from class me repeating over and over and over again this adage that the slope, that is the change in y over the change in x. And that can be calculated by doing y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And they've given us a bunch of x's and a bunch of y's here to choose from. So the reason them giving you 0, 0 is really nice is that you can pick any of these. So to the person that asked this, I'm going to I'll ask everybody, but this person in particular, what would you rather choose? I mean, look at all of these XY pairs that we were given. We can use 3, 0.5, 6 and 1, 9 and 1.5, or 12 and 2. Would we rather use one that has decimals or use one that has whole numbers? What do you think? What do we want to use? I'm pretty sure everyone in chat will be saying I'd rather use whole numbers.
Yeah,
Me too.
whole numbers.
Me too. Now, I'm going to go on record as saying it does not matter. Since these are all part of the same relationship, the same function, the same line, it does not matter which one we decide. But the 0, 0 is just a big boost of ease. Here's why. So let's say we choose this coordinate pair, which is 6, 1. Okay? Those are going to be our x2 and our y2. Our x1 and y1 are both 0. And that's what makes this so simple. So basically, we would have y2, which is 1, minus y1, which is 0, over x2, which is 6, minus x1, which is 0. That makes it so much easier. So your slope is 1/6. That would have come out the same if we had chosen to do, well, give me a line. If we had chosen another coordinate, like what if we had chosen 12 and 2? That would have been, that's the x, hang on, back that up. So the x would be this, so changing y, so y2 would be 2, so that'd be 2 minus 0, and x2 would have been 12, so that'd be 12 minus 0. So we would have gotten 2 over 12, which simplifies to 1/6. So it would not have mattered. And let's say they only gave you decimals. If they only gave you decimals, you had no choice but to use decimals. Guess what? You're going to have to do that someday. So let's go ahead and just do one. Let's say they had given you this one right here. So let's say you had to do 0.5 minus 0 over 3 minus 0. Well, yeah, so what? You end up with 0.5 over 3. Well, you could just multiply those both by 2. And that turns into 1 over 6. I'm pretty sure I've seen this one on Khan before, and they didn't like having a decimal in the numerator. So if you just double it to make it into a whole number, it's fine. So if you guys have any more questions about lessons that I've posted or the assignments that you have to solve, please screenshots, emails are the best way to get a hold of me. We'll stream again tomorrow, and I'll answer more questions tomorrow, and we'll go over more topics tomorrow. So until then, make sure you check out the replays on YouTube if you need more help. Also, you should be reading your Midsummer Night's Dream. I should finish the Directive Act 1, Scene 1 sometime today and post that. Stay healthy, stay safe, get outside if you can. I'll see you next time.
And make your bed every day.
That's right. Make your bed every day. Every day is a better day with a made bed. See you guys.